Greenland's capital, Nuuk, was plunged into darkness, triggering alarm far beyond the Arctic. A sudden city-wide power outage struck Nuuk late Saturday, cutting electricity to nearly the entire population. Greenland's state utility company, Nuuk, confirmed the blackout was caused by what it called an accident. Officials said crews were scrambling to restore power while emergency backup systems were activated across the city. Eyewitnesses told Reuters the outage hit simultaneously, leaving no neighborhood untouched. Streets fell into complete darkness, with cars and residents relying on headlights and mobile phone torches to move. Footage from inside local restaurants showed diners frozen mid-meal, sitting in pitch-black conditions. Police phone lines, internet services, and other critical infrastructure were paralyzed by the outage. Authorities said as many as 19,000 people were affected. Greenland police confirmed the disruption, but offered no details about the nature of the incident. Nuuk said technicians were still searching for what it described as a bug in the power grid. The lack of clarity has fueled concern and speculation across the territory. The blackout comes at a sensitive political moment for Greenland. Earlier this week, authorities quietly updated emergency preparedness guidelines across the island. It follows renewed international tension after U.S. President Donald Trump again expressed interest in acquiring Greenland. Trump claimed the territory was vital for American security and hinted at economic pressure if Europe resisted. He later announced tariffs on 8 European countries after troops were deployed to Greenland. Those tariffs were withdrawn days later following talks with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Despite easing tensions, European leaders held emergency discussions in Brussels.
US President Donald Trump says he is dropping his threat to impose tariffs on several European countries, citing what he describes as a new framework with NATO on Arctic security. Leaving the venue of the World Economic Forum, Trump says he and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte had agreed to the framework of a future deal on Greenland and the Arctic region that will take his February 1st threat of tariffs off the table. He said that it's a deal that's forever, but didn't give much detail beyond that. The abrupt change comes shortly after he told the World Economic Forum in Davos that the US would not use force to pursue control of Greenland.
First on Greenland, we are clearly in a better position than we were 24 hours ago. And tonight we drew the lessons of our collective strategy. So what did we do? First of all, there was, as you said, Antonio, unequivocal solidarity with Greenland and Denmark. Second, we also stood firmly with the 6 member states that were threatened with tariffs. Third point, we engaged very actively with the United States on various levels. We did so in a firm but non-escalatory manner. And the fourth point was that we are well prepared with trade countermeasures and non-tariff instruments if tariffs would have been applied. So to sum up, we followed 4 key principles: firmness, outreach, preparedness, and unity. And it was effective, so going forward we should maintain this very approach.
During a speech at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Trump appeared to rule out using force, but his words carried an unmistakable warning to Europe.
Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory that's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth, no such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing, but there's so much rare earth. And to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America. on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere, and we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%. There's no sign of Denmark there. And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good. It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land, this giant piece of ice, develop it and improve it and make it so that it's good for Europe and safe for Europe and good for us. And that's the reason I'm seeking immediate negotiations to once again discuss the acquisition of Greenland by the United States, just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired. There's nothing wrong with it. But this would not be a threat to NATO. This would greatly enhance the security of the entire alliance, the NATO alliance. The United States is treated very unfairly by NATO. I want to tell you that. And when you think about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much and we get so little in return. We never ask for anything and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay, now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now.